This one starts with the moment I realized something was seriously wrong. The woman didn't have a purse or a phone. She didn't even have keys, yet she kept insisting she was stranded. It was around 1:30 a.m. I stopped at Walmart after a late shift to grab some snacks and a new phone charger. The store was nearly empty except for a few employees stocking shelves. As I walked toward the electronics, a woman stepped out from behind a display. She looked normal enough, mid-30s, jeans, and an oversized sweater. But her eyes were wide, they were frantic. "Excuse me," she said. She grabbed my arm. I asked her, "Can I help you?" She told me her car wouldn't start. I pulled my arm back startled. I told her, "I'm not really good with vehicles. I can't really help you." She stepped closer to me, almost too close. She said, "Please just come look at it. It's right outside." At this moment, something felt off. Her voice was shaky and frantic, but her expression didn't match. Her mouth was tense, but her eyes were scanning the store behind me, like she was checking if anyone else was watching. I told her I can go get her an employee if she needs help, but she snapped at me, telling me no. Realizing what she said and how I reacted, she softened her voice. She told me she just needed me, and she pleaded, "Please come." This was the moment my instincts screamed at me, because I know that no one at 1:30 a.m. needs help from just any stranger, especially not at a Walmart. I told her I had to check out first, but she insisted on waiting with me. She stood uncomfortably close the entire time, and I noticed her breathing was heavy, and she was consistently glancing toward the exit every few seconds. When I walked outside, she followed half a step behind me. The parking lot was mostly empty, and the lights buzzing overhead. She pointed toward the far end of the lot. She told me her car was over there, but I could see no vehicle in sight, just a dark corner of the lot and a single pickup truck parked facing outward with its headlights off. I stopped walking and I told her, "I'm not stupid. I know that's not your car." She didn't answer me at first. The truck driver's side door cracked open. I turned around and walked back to the store fast. She tried grabbing my wrist again, and she hissed at me, told me it'll only take a second. "Come on, sir." I yanked my arm away from her and I sprinted. She didn't follow me. I told the overnight manager, who immediately locked the doors and called security. They reviewed the cameras for our safety. The woman had entered the store alone. She had no cars, no keys, and no phone. But the truck it had pulled up into the 5 minutes before she approached me, and the driver never got out. They just waited. When security went outside to check, they said the truck had gone, like it had vanished, and she was nowhere to be found. Police later told me this tactic is common. Someone inside the store lures a victim toward a waiting vehicle. They target people that are alone, late at night when the lot is empty. I still think about how close I came to walking just a few more steps into that dark corner. Whoever that was, and whatever trick they were trying to play, I hope they don't do it to anyone else. Please. This one begins with the moment I realized I wasn't imagining things. Every time I turned down a new aisle, the same man appeared within 30 seconds. It was almost 2 a.m. I had gone to Walmart because I couldn't sleep and figured walking around might help. The store at this time was quiet, lights dimmer than usual, that eerie hum of refrigeration units echoing through the aisles. I first noticed him in the cereal aisle, tall and skinny, wearing a faded red baseball cap, spooled low. He wasn't looking at cereal, he was looking at me, not in a curious way. It was like he was calculating everything. So I moved to the cleaning supply aisle. 30 seconds later, I heard footsteps, and I saw that red cap. I went to the home goods section. There he was again, tending to examine a lamp, but glancing at me every few seconds. I tested it. I walked to the complete opposite side of the store. I waited, and sure enough, here comes our buddy with that red cap. At this point, my heart was pounding. I didn't want to seem paranoid, so I grabbed a random item. I started heading to the self-checkout. He didn't go, because he wasn't buying anything. I noticed he just hovered near the exit, tending to browse the vending machines. When I walked outside, the night air felt colder than usual. My car was parked far out, under one of those flickering lights. So I quickly walked over there, my keys in my hand. Halfway there, I heard footsteps behind me. They were fast and gaining. When I turned around, what I assumed was true. The red cap guy was following me. He was speed walking toward me with his hands in his jacket. So I bolted. I ran to my car and unlocked it. I jumped inside as fast as I could. Once I got the car started, he reached my door and tried to pull the handle. But thank God I locked it. He didn't threaten or yell at me though, which was surprising. He just stared at me through the window. He was breathing hard like this was his first time running in a long time. I could tell he was angry I'd gotten away though. I reversed out of there fast, and I almost hit the rear end of my truck on the light pole. As I drove off, he stood in the middle of the lane watching me leave. The next day I called Walmart, and they checked the cameras. The man had followed me the moment I entered the store. He never picked up a single item, and they said he never spoke to anyone. He just trailed me like a creeper, from aisle to aisle, from every section, always staying just far enough back to avoid confrontation. And the creepiest part is when I left the store, there was another man that I had noticed, walked out behind him. He got in the same car with that man, and they drove off together. Police told me they had multiple reports of similar behavior in the area. There's always two men, one waiting inside and one waiting outside, working together, Whatever their motive is, whatever their reason, I hope they find it in themselves. Stop being this way. Please. I want to start this one with the part that still makes my stomach drop. When police reviewed the Walmart parking lot footage, they told me the man had been following me for over 20 minutes before I ever noticed him. I don't even think he was shopping or browsing. I don't even think he was pretending to. I remember him just watching me. I worked the closing shift at my job. I needed to stop by Walmart, so I stopped around 12:45. Needed to grab cat food and some cold medication. Colorado nights get dead quiet at that hour. It's just the hum of the lights and the occasional cart rattling across the concrete. Inside, it was the usual graveyard shift vibe. 3 employees and a few exhausted parents. And the kind of people who only come out when the sun's gone. I noticed him first in the medicine aisle. He had on a green hoodie and it was up. I remember noticing his hands were in his pockets. He wasn't looking at anything, just standing at the end of the aisle facing me. I assumed he was waiting to pass, so I moved my cart aside. He didn't move or nod. He didn't even blink or stare at me. I brushed it off and went to get pet supplies. A minute later, I felt that prickling sensation on my back of my neck. The one that you get that tells you that someone's behind you, so I turned around. And green hoodie guy, at the same distance and posture, was still staring. I left the aisle immediately. When I got to self-checkout, he didn't get in line. He stood near the exit, angled toward me, pretending to scroll on his phone, but never actually touching the screen. I kept telling myself I was overreacting. People are weird at night, and maybe he was waiting for someone. At least I was hoping so. When I walked out into the parking lot, this is when the air felt wrong. It was too heavy and too still. My car was parked far away. There were no close spots when I arrived. So as I pushed my cart across the lot, I heard footsteps behind me. They were slow and matching my pace. I didn't turn around. I didn't want to confirm that it was him. That's when I heard a voice. It was low and raspy. It was far too close. It said, "Hey, you dropped something." I froze, because I knew I didn't drop anything. I turned around, and he was standing maybe 10 feet away. He wasn't holding anything, and his hands were still in his pockets. His hood shadowed his face, but I could see his mouth clearly. It was twisted into this half smile that didn't match his eyes. I told him I didn't drop anything, but he stepped forward and he said, "Are you sure?" That was enough. I had enough of that, so I abandoned the cart and I ran to my car. I unlocked it as fast as I could and jumped in. I slammed the door. Before I could even start the motor, he was at my passenger side window. His face was pressed up against the glass, and I remember seeing his nose, and he was fogging it with his breath. He didn't knock or speak, he just gave me that stare, the same one he did in the store. I peeled out of the parking spot so fast that I nearly ran a cart down, and I drove straight home. I admit that I was shaking the entire time. The next night, I called Walmart to report it, and they said they checked the cameras for me, and they said the man had followed me from aisle to aisle, always staying just outside of my peripheral vision. He waited by the exit for me to finish checking out, and when I walked into the parking lot, He followed at a distance. He did until I reached my vehicle. There's a part of this that still keeps me up, as the manager told me he wasn't alone. Said there was another guy in a black jacket waiting in a car. It was only 2 rows down. He said when I drove off, they left together, following me for a moment and veering off. Whoever they are, whatever they wanted, I hope I never see them again. Please.